I'm going to take a wild guess and say that if you're clicking on this video, then you are either curious about or already on the path of change, of healing, of transformation, of self-improvement. And so what do pretty much all of our problems within that path boil down to? They boil down to the fact that we feel stuck and that we are needing to get unstuck and we are wanting to move on to something better. We are wanting to change and align with our highest self, with the most fulfilled, best version of who we are, right? And so what do we really need on that journey? For so many of us, one of the core things that we need is we need the ability to zoom out of our life. For so many of us, we get so caught up in the everyday, we get so caught up in the patterns that we don't actually have the space and time to zoom out enough to where we get to witness our life, to where we get to ask the deeper questions of what is really going wrong here? What areas of my life do I really not feel connected in and that need to change? And on the contrary to that, what are the areas of my life that I want to move towards? What is my North Star? What is the lighthouse that I'm wanting to orient my life to? And so in today's video, that is exactly what we are going to do. I'm going to take us on a journey, giving you guys some really powerful exercises and hopefully do it in a short amount of time so that we can start to zoom out from our lives, and on the flip side of zooming out to our lives, so we can start orienting to the life that we are actually deeply called to living, that we feel deeply aligned to. My name is Blake Chalfant. I'm 24 years old and I am here to help in your journey of finding your way through this time on earth. Before we get into the meat of the video, I need to go over a couple assumptions that I am making in my thinking and in my approach to life because they're extremely important, and if we're not on the same page here, then things aren't going to quite make sense. Assumption number one. You were born with a soul, and within that soul lives a seed that contains the blueprint of who you are here to become. Assumption two. In order to help you grow that seed, life gave you an inner guiding intelligence. Because the truth is that life wants to see the fullest bloom of whatever that seed within you came here to be. And the last assumption is that it is your life's sacred work and task to help that seed fully become whatever it came here to become. And we all have a seed, and all of our seeds are completely unique to you. And they're unique to you outside of your genes and outside of your environmental upbringing. It breaks the nurture versus nature argument. It is something completely different that unfortunately our culture hasn't quite acknowledged. And all of our seeds together combined make up all of the different brushstrokes of the grand mosaic of life. I share these assumptions in the way that I see parts of the human experience because when we're talking about getting unstuck and finding the life that we really want and changing and transforming all of it, what we're really talking about is the life path and how to find your unique life path. And so if we can start to change our models of how we're thinking about who we are and what it means to be a unique human being, it's going to radically change the way that you start to approach your life, how you start to think about who you are, how you start to think about what lives within you and what is wanting to come out from you. Okay, so now let's get into the meat of the video. I'm going to be giving you guys 3 exercises, and the point of these exercises is not to do them once and then never do them again. The point is actually to continually do them and get to know them very close and intimately. And so if you need to pause the video, if you want to pull out a journal so you can write some of this down, please do that. The point of this video is not that you just sit back and watch it and it just goes in your brain and then it changes things. This is something that you need to actively engage in because on this life path, on the journey of change, change is something that we must actively engage in. Change doesn't just naturally happen when we let go of everything. There is a letting go, but there's also an active engagement. It's a dance that we're needing to do with life. Exercise 1. What are you doing and why are you doing it? What games are you playing in your life? And so I want you to zoom out on your entire life and literally go through everything. Go through your career, go through your relationships, go through your habits. What artistic expressions do you have? What outlets of expression do you have? What are your thought patterns, right? When you notice how you're thinking, how do you tend to think most of the time? How do you think about yourself? Go through literally everything, and you need to ask, what are you doing and why are you doing it? This is going to reveal the different parts of your life that you are connected to and the different parts of your life that you aren't connected to. The thing is that in our current culture, So many of us live a lot of our lives for other people, for the acceptance of our environment, for our culture. We go by all of the shoulds because our culture doesn't really uplift the individual and our unique expression. It doesn't say, let's help you find your unique path. Actually, it says, let's try and get you to join the beaten path and follow in line with everyone else and how everyone else has done something. And so naturally, because of that conditioning, many of us are living large amounts of our life for other people, for our culture, not for ourselves. And so when we go through and we weed through our life and we ask, what am I doing and why am I doing this? If we dig deep and really feel into it, it's going to start to reveal when the roots of what we are doing are within us and when the roots of what we are doing are actually in the grander culture or in someone else's narrative and story that we live within. On the contrary of finding out the different areas of your life that you're disconnected from, asking what am I doing and why am I doing it, it's also going to really improve and help the things that you are doing for you. For example, my meditation practice, when I got really familiar with why I was doing it and I knew how much of an impact it was going to make on my life, it started to transform my meditation practice, and I started to take it more seriously because I knew exactly why I was doing it, and when I checked in with why I was doing it, it fed a deeper sense of empowerment. Exercise 2. What are your dreams? For so many of us, we have not asked this question. It's maybe been since we were children since we really asked this question. And so maybe you don't even know when I ask yourself that, and that's okay. But this question is absolutely essential that we get very familiar with, and we get very familiar with what our answer is, because the thing is that you have dreams within you, whether or not you think you do. You do. Unfortunately, many of us, our dreams were shut down. That seed within us that I talked about earlier in the video, that seed wasn't nurtured. And so these dreams, these deeply held visions that we have for our life, they haven't been nurtured and they've been dormant over the years. And so why are we asking, what are your dreams? Because in this journey of change and being unstuck, it's great to know where you're stuck. It's great to know what needs to change and what's not okay. But we also need to know what we are now going to orient to. We need to know the lighthouse, because right now we are at sea and we are caught in a storm. We need to know what that lighthouse looks like. We need to know where that lighthouse is so we can start to orient to it. Because what we get to do when we ask what are our dreams is we get to now take that future version of yourself that you think about when you ask yourself, what is your dream? And now we get to reverse engineer that. And we get to ask, how did he get there? And we get to ask, what are the habits of that future self in my dream? And now we get to start implementing these habits now. And it's so important because for a lot of us on this journey of self-help and transformation and stuff, we don't have something to orient to. I don't think a lot of people in this world of self-development and self-help, they're not so familiar with what their dreams are. And part of that is because it actually brings up a lot. And that's part of why we're doing this exercise, is because when you ask yourself, what are my dreams, and you start to feel into it, your limiting beliefs, all of those stories that keep you back from those dreams and even from believing that those dreams are possible, they are going to start to rise up to the surface. And that's incredibly important because working through our limiting beliefs and stories, which is the next exercise, is absolutely essential on this journey and on the journey of actualizing your dreams. Before I move on, I just want to say, despite all of the stories, despite all of the ways your mind wants to tell you that your dreams will fail, they will not work out, there's no way possible, I need to say, your dreams are real, your dreams matter, and they are entirely possible for you to achieve in this lifetime. Period. End of story. Exercise 3. What are your limiting beliefs and stories? And so, like I said in the dream part, we did the dreams first because usually when we think about the dreams, that's when these parts of us try and keep us stuck and they try and bring us back down. And the dream exercise, the dream journal, actually is an amazing way to start to get to know what these core limiting beliefs and limiting stories are. And a lot of us share these limiting beliefs and stories. They're similar, and you have your own unique stories that are keeping you stuck. And so the thing is that all of those thoughts that came up around your dreams, all of these limitations that don't believe it's possible, the agenda behind those parts of you is to never actualize your dreams. They would prefer that you stay stuck even if you're miserable. They would prefer that you stay in the storm at sea than you ever finding your lighthouse. Because the thing is, you deeply care about your dreams. And whatever that blueprint of the seed of your soul is, that is where the deepest level of connection to yourself lives. That is, in many ways, what you deeply care about most in the world, even if you're not even aware of what it is. And so the thought of pursuing that thing is terrifying to these different parts of us, because let's say within that seed of your soul lives a singer, right? What if you get on stage and you finally go for it, you finally pursue that dream, you finally lean into the vulnerability and get on stage, and then you get booed off stage? That would be life crushing. Versus, let's say you work at a restaurant, right? And you get a bad tip or something. That's not very scary, because you know that that's not what you're here to do. And maybe it is, but I'm using that very generally. You get the point though. What we so deeply care about and are connected to also is where the deepest level of vulnerability and risk lives. And so, yeah, those limiting beliefs, what that says to me is that you actually deeply care about your dreams. And these parts of you know that, and they want to protect you from the hurt that might come if there is rejection or if things don't go the way that you want them to go. The journey ahead is not to shut the door on these parts and to try and run away from them, but actually letting them in and cultivating the space to where you can hold them, you can tell them it's okay, while also still doing the thing, while also still pursuing your dreams. It's knowing that just because these parts of you are coming up doesn't mean to not do the thing. It just means that you care about it and that you have the space for it, that you are strong enough to not be scared away when these parts of you come up and they're doubting you and they're creating all these stories for why your dreams won't come true. So maybe you're asking about how to actually take action. When does this actually translate into your life? But just through the process of being brutally honest with yourself, for finally telling the truth in your life, what are your dreams, where are you at, and where are you getting stuck, and what are you deeply scared of, you start to open up the space and you start to unclog the life force hose of your life. And it's in that space where life can finally start to come in, where you can start to be worked with life. Remember my assumptions. There is something within you that's trying to help this seed become. But when there's so many layers, when we're so caught up in where we're at and we don't have the capacity to zoom out and create some space, it's really hard to hear that place within you. It's really hard to notice how life is trying to move through you. I will leave you with the assumptions that I shared in the beginning. You were born with a soul, and within that soul is a seed that contains the blueprint of who you are here to become. In order to help that seed grow into the fullest bloom, life gave you an inner guiding intelligence, because the truth is that life longs to see whatever that seed came here to become.